Hi, I'm Shuprika. You are on SJ Live. We have been bringing to you all the topics which are actually related to us, which are burning topics at the moment. And today also, we are going to discuss on a very important topic, which is successful repatriation of stranded Indians in the times of pandemic COVID-19. We have a special guest here with us today on the show, Mr. Ashish Sinha, who is acting High Commissioner of India to Kenya at the moment, and he is there with us to answer all our queries. So let's go. Welcome to the show, Ashish ji. How are you?
Namaskar. Thank you very much for conducting this interview. We are good. Hope the same for you and your viewers. Supriya.
Yes, we all are fine. Thank you so much. Let me introduce you to all our viewers. Mr. Ashish Sinha, currently charged the affairs, has been the Deputy High Commissioner of India in Kenya and the Deputy Permanent Representative of India to the UN Environment and UN Habitat since August 2019. He is a career diplomat, and since his joining the Indian Foreign Services in 2005, Mr. Sinha has held diplomatic assignments in Indian embassies in Madrid and Kathmandu and at the Permanent Mission of India to the United Nations at New York. So, welcome to the show once again. And Ashish ji, during this difficult time of pandemic, when people are stranded across the world, bringing people back home is a complex exercise. And yes, it is actually very difficult for any government. And how Indian government has been undertaking this exercise in respect to repatriate Indian nationals. Could you please brief us on that?
Thank you, Shubrika. You rightly mentioned this is an unprecedented and extraordinary situation. And in this situation, one of the challenging things for any government is to take care of their citizens abroad and to bring them back who are stranded is a bit of a challenge. And like a responsible government who is responsible to its citizens abroad, Government of India has managed to bring over 500,000 people back through this Vande Bharat mission. This is a mission which was started to bring Indian nationals who are primarily working abroad and who were laid off because of the deteriorating economic situation. They needed to go back home.
True.
People who were on visitors visa as tourists or business visa for their business purposes abroad, they needed to go back to India as they could not stay abroad for very long. Therefore, Government of India came out with this innovative mechanism called Vande Bharat Mission, by which Air India flights were utilized and several destinations were connected
Okay.
with the active involvement of the Indian missions in those countries.
Okay.
In addition to Air India flights, chartered flights were also allowed to fly from one destination to another.
Okay.
In all these cases, what was most important was mission's role in screening out the people who were really stranded and to accord right priority to the needy people based on their acute situation.
Okay.
In case of Kenya, we started this process early in May.
Okay.
And we encouraged stranded Indian nationals to register themselves with the mission so that we know as to how many people are here, what is their condition, which part of country they are in, and what would they like us to do for them. This was not just for repatriation, but for other help also if they needed from us and from Government of India.
Okay.
To our call for registration in early May, in 24 hours time, we had about 2,000 individuals registered with us.
Oh.
And then after the process continued,
Mm-hmm.
we were also surprised because the number was way beyond what we thought to be.
Yeah.
We thought that we never thought that so many Indians would be stuck and stranded. Many of them were staying in hotels.
Hmm.
Many of them had come here for short-term durations to meet their family members, to conduct some business meetings,
Yeah.
or to visit the places of tourist attraction in this country.
Okay.
Now, over 2,000 people, and each one had a compelling case.
Hmm.
The compelling cases included the pregnant woman, elderlies, terminally ill patients, workers who were laid off from their jobs,
Okay.
so on and so forth.
So how did you
So
address
that's how
the queries and concerns? Like you had a proper procedure to follow? Were they interviewed or something? What was done exactly to find out what exactly is their situation?
Yeah, that's a good question. And that's where the real challenge lied.
Yes.
Because as I said, we had over 2,000 people registered. And the capacity of a flight is about 200 or 225.
Actually.
So, whatever way we do, whatever filter we put, there will be 80% people who would not be able to travel in the first flight which comes.
Actually. Yeah.
So, or 90%, sorry. So, we had to strictly apply those filters, those criteria. Okay. We asked people to substantiate their claims, their compelling reasons. We went ahead and asked them their medical certificates, the proof of what they were claiming, in support of their claim, as to why they are stranded. And we found that some people who actually claimed to be stranded, they were not so badly stranded. I mean, some of them were working here and their work permit was to expire 3-4 months later. But still they thought that, it's better to go back to the country. Yeah, so we assigned them a relatively lower priority compared to those who were here on tourist visa and their visas had already expired. Or compared to those, ladies, women who were pregnant and who had a small kid to take care and they had no other family member here. So we did ask for the documentary evidence. We did conduct telephonic interviews and Mission's entire consular team was involved in the process. We announced our emergency number, which anyway is there on our website. The phone was continuously ringing. We provided some more numbers also. We answered all calls. We responded to all the emails. So much so that my team members were almost able to remember the names and the situations and the place in India where the person comes from. In some cases, their mobile numbers were also memorized by us. So such an intense interaction followed after their registration to be able to filter out. And we were very frank and honest in explaining people our process.
So how many flights have gone up till now and what were the destinations in India?
So we have sent out 6 flights. 5 flights from Nairobi, 5 from Kenya and 1 from Somalia.
That's actually a big number for a country.
That's a big number compared to any other country in Africa. I think this was one of the highest side. Of those 6 flights, 1 from Somalia went. It was a ferry flight which was going to bring Somali nationals back from India, and we used that flight to repatriate the stranded Indians in Somalia. So I'll tell you the story from beginning. Since Maharashtra those days was not receiving people from other states, it was only Delhi which was receiving. So we sent out people from other than Maharashtra and Gujarat to Delhi, and from there they were quarantined for institutional quarantine for 7 days and home quarantine for another 7 days. After completion of their quarantine, they went back to their respective states. So we had a feeder flight from Mumbai to Delhi. And in fact, our former High Commissioner, Excellency Mr. Rahul Chabra, he also went on transfer to Delhi and used the same repatriation flight on 5th of June. The first flight carried 234 passengers.
Okay. That's actually a big number.
Yeah, so it was a Dreamliner by Air India, and it went on full capacity, keeping the norms of social distancing within flight also.
Okay. And I'm very sure still so many people must have been stranded. So, is there any hopes for them also at the moment?
Now,
Yes, you don't have any repatriation flight now, yeah? So I think now you still have any request from the people who are still stranded and still want to go back to the country?
that's a good question. In fact, I am happy to share with you that we were able to repatriate all. We
Okay.
brought down the number to zero
Oh, that's good.
after our last flight on 7th of July.
Oh, that's really
So
good.
we were able to send over 1,000 passengers of the 2,000 who registered with us.
Okay.
And then as and when the flights were available, we approached them back, and gradually some of them backed out. They didn't want to go back. Finally, those who wanted to go, all of them have gone back. So since 5th of June, we have sent 4 more flights from here.
Okay.
Uh, uh, 2 more flights of Air India, which went again to Mumbai, to Delhi. And the last flight, which we have sent on 7th of July, we had a feeder flight from Delhi to Mumbai, to Hyderabad, to Chennai and Kochi. So we were able to cater to almost all the states from where bulk of people were stranded in Kenya. After 7th of July, by sending 3 Air India flights and 2 charter flights, one to Ahmedabad and another to Coimbatore for Kerala and Tamil Nadu people, we brought down the list to zero. Everyone was repatriated happily. Then after, in last 10 days, from 7th July, today is 17th, we have very few requests, less than 10, who have registered with us after our last flight, requesting us for the next flight. So as and when we have some numbers to be able to arrange a flight, we will certainly do. Government of India is ready to provide another flight, provided there are enough people to be repatriated.
Okay. And how are you rendering other consular services in these times? I'm very sure it must be really tough. And due to the panic created in the public, I'm very sure you must be getting many more requests in comparison to the normal other days.
Yes, Shubrika, you are very right. But you know, High Commission is here for the Indian nationals 24/7 in thick and thin. And people do consider us, their friend. As they say, Pardesh mein aapka dost mission. So visa services were stopped because of the pandemic. And later, after those visa services, only essential visas were allowed. But when the international commercial flights were stopped, all kind of visas were stopped. So to that extent, the consular traffic is reduced. But we continue to render other consular services, which includes passport services, renewal of passports after expiry or new passports, and other consular services, including OCI services. So we have less traffic because visa services are stopped. But because of the repatriation flight, of course, we were very heavily involved and engaged. We also receive calls from people who are in distress, who sometimes ask us that when will COVID end? So we obviously.
In fact, even I had a question that maybe you must be knowing when the normal flight service is going to start.
Visa services, you mean?
No, normal flight services, because, okay,
services,
can go, but normal people also, there are so many Kenyans who want to travel to India, so many Indians who are actually dying to go back to their country for a few days. So if you have any idea regarding that, even I had that silly question in my mind.
No, I mean, that's a question which is equally applicable to me also. I would also like to avail when there is an opportunity.
Yeah.
But, gradually we have started from India what we call air bubbles.
Okay.
So we've not resumed the full-fledged international commercial flights.
Okay.
But between two places, so USA and India, France and India, we have created bubbles, and between the bubbles, flights fly.
Okay.
As long as there's no, there aren't enough passengers, and there is no credible medicine or vaccine available, we will just wait. In India, we've started domestic flights, and we have kept a certain number that when our domestic flights are occupied to about 50-60%, we will start international flights. So basically, we need to wait for the demand to pick up. And also for the international regulation. For example, even if India wishes to fly, the other country should be willing to allow the landing and flying.
And flying back. Yeah.
So it's beyond one country to start international operations.
Okay. And could you give me a few cases, one or two cases, which were actually taken care of really well by High Commission of India? I know that you people are always there for all the Indian diaspora, and you're there to help us. But if any one or two cases specifically in which you just went out of the way to help them?
Well, it will be a challenge to limit such cases to one or two, or to decide which two we can.
Which is the best one?
Yeah. So, what is coming to my mind, I'll tell you. We did help people who were in distress and needed medical facilities.
Okay.
So, some of those we were able to send to India with the repatriation flights. But also we were able to help such Indians in neighboring countries of Kenya, from Malawi, from Uganda, who needed medical, or from Djibouti, who needed medical assistance. And Kenya has better medical facilities for specialized treatment, and they wanted to come here. So we actively facilitated their travel and their treatment here. Okay. This required a lot of exemption from government of Kenya. Kenya had restricted all international travels due to this pandemic, but they came out and helped us to be able to help Indian nationals stranded in different countries who wanted to come here for medical treatment. That we have done a couple of cases which really required immediate help. Otherwise, they would have been in trouble in terms of medical facilities. In addition, I remember another case where one soldier from India, he was on his way to Sudan to join the UN mission.
Yes, even I read about it. Yeah.
Yes, so the soldier was going to Sudan. He came to Nairobi from India. And from here, he flew to Sudan. Once he reached
Sudan,
South Sudan, he was not allowed to deplane and go out, because in between, while he was still in the travel, the restrictions came into place. So he was sent back to Kenya. And by the time he came back to Kenya, Kenya also had stopped its airspace. So he was stranded here in a very difficult situation. He couldn't go to his place of work in Sudan. He couldn't go back to India, his home country.
True.
So we grappled with the situation, and we dealt with his employers in UN and Indian Army. And finally, we provided him stay here until the repatriation flights resumed. And in one of the repatriation flights, he was sent back to India. So some of these were challenging, required a lot of coordination. Some of these, like the two I mentioned, medical evacuation and the soldier, was something which was not even in our calculus. And when it came, we were like, oh my God, what to do? But we finally were able to do it.
One more question, up till now things seem okay, but in future, suppose the situation worsens, we have many more cases in India or in Kenya. Do you have any plan for those times, that suppose there's so many people who just want to leave the country, or any other situation, how is the High Commission going to manage that?
Shubhrika, we hope that situation doesn't worsen
Yes.
and it remains in control.
Mhm.
But should it happen, Government of India will always be available to provide some or the other solution.
Okay.
It really will depend on the exact case. We are very swift in designing our response. So, we cannot
Yeah,
plan
we
it
actually
to the
cannot
nuts and
plan
bolts
right
level,
now.
but our preparedness is there.
Okay.
We report to Delhi about the situation in Kenya
Okay.
almost on a continuous basis.
Okay.
So Delhi is aware of the situation here and is aware of the unfolding situation, what it might lead to.
Okay.
So hypothetically speaking, if there's a big number who's willing to go to India, the flight can be arranged. If the number is very, very big, from some countries where it was very, very big, we provided them the ship. The Indian naval ship went out to bring a large number of people from different countries, Maldives,
Okay.
and I think Maldives only. So depending on the situation, our response will be designed and it will be very swift. People don't have to worry about government's response, but we do request people to take a very good care of themselves, follow the essentials of protocol, which is social distancing, washing your hands, using masks.
Wearing a mask.
This is what, whether you are in Kenya or India or any part of the world, you have to follow the same protocol.
Actually,
it's better to follow the protocol and stay put in your home than to adventure and risk yourself.
Actually, thank you so much, Ashish ji, for talking to us. And I'm very sure that our viewers are definitely going to get benefited out of our discussion today. Thank you so much for taking our time.
Thank you very much, Shubhrika. All the best to your efforts and all the best to your channel.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Namaste. Okay, so that was Mr. Ashish Sinha. Hopefully, we have covered all the topics which you needed to know. And yes, we are definitely going to bring many more other topics which are relevant to us. Please do like, share, and subscribe and comment. And like my channel, Shubhrika Johri. My Facebook page is Shubhrika, and this segment is SJ Live. Ta-da, bye-bye. See ya. Have a nice time. See you again.